Hello, welcome to your tutorial video. This is how to go about your software. So first and foremost, once you open it up, it's gonna show you the screen. You don't need to update, just click don't update, and then this login form pops up. So you put in your username and password. Now, please note that this has to be on your computer and mostly on Windows. Of course, this could work on MacBook, but a couple items or codes and buttons that may not work, but most of it should. Now, you're going to get another version that does not have the username and password interface, which would easily just work on the Excel version of the MacBook. But let's just get straight to this. So you click on OK, and then it's gonna load for a little bit, like 7 seconds, and then it will be ready to go. Now you see this, you can click on go to home page. Please note that all of these buttons work on the actual Excel version for the computer. It won't work on your tablet, it won't work on Google Sheets, neither would it work on the phone. So this is meant to be for computer. Now, if you click on products or services, first and foremost, you'll notice that we have a list of services or products. These are just examples for you. These are all your projects. You're going to list all the projects, your real estate projects that you're working on, construction, whatever, renovation. Yeah, this is where you list it. These are examples. When you want to start using it, you can delete all of this. Pretty straightforward. Then you can go back to your guidance, and if you want to talk about sales, you can come here. So pretty much what we have here, we're saying, look, this is pretty much the revenue, the amount you get from the owner of the project. So let's say you got 30 million to execute project A, you record it here. If you charge VAT, that's value added tax, click on yes. If not, make this no, right? And then this goes away. So that's pretty much your revenue, like the amount you get for doing the work. Now, you realize that um, this is strictly for inflow of cash for the projects, right? So that's what we call sales in this one. Then you can always click on any of the items on the tabs below and do on hide to see all the other tabs, right? So let's say, for expenses, for example, if you click on expenses, you put your date in here, right? Put the month, the purpose, right? Who it's paid to, the total amount, right? And then whatever the project is and the type of construction, right? So cost of construction or other, depending on how you like it, right? Now, again, you definitely are going to have um, raw materials and all of those things that you purchase to execute a project. So if you click on raw materials here, uh, you have two: raw materials purchased and raw materials used, right? You always want to be able to track the raw materials that you've bought. Let's say cement, let's say blocks, let's say paint, buckets, whatever you call it, right? Um, so that way, let's say, I'm just throw one in here now. Let's say it's June 27th, 2024, and you bought cement, right? Cement, 100 bags at 7,000. So you spent 700,000 there. For what project? Project A. If you have the supply name, you put it. If you put it on cash and all of that, boom. Now, please remember that before you do that, you should try to list all your raw materials here, right? So that you're just clicking on the drop down um to select, right? So uh So pretty much here, once you put in the list, so let me show you. So for example, let's say you have blocks, you have paint buckets, and then what else? Maybe let's say 2 by 2 blanks. Just once you list them here, it's easy for you to just say, you know what, on May 5th, 2024, we bought blocks, right, for about 1,000 pieces, or what's going on? Okay, it's a second. Bought 1,000 pieces, and we bought it for, let's say, 100 naira each. And then you put the name of the project. Remember, you would have had all the projects names at the beginning, and then you scroll to the side. You want to say whether you bought it on cash or on credit, and that's pretty much it. Now, how do we track this? So remember, this is raw materials purchased. For raw materials used, you want to be able to come here and, for example, put in the date. So let's say this guy on July 28th, just saying, let's say um, 40 was used for, project A, obviously. And then here, let's say on July 29, I'm just making examples. You had blocks, and then let's say 400 were used, right? So, one of the things, interesting. So, one of the things, right, is to know for sure that, it's already telling you this was bought for Project Reno VI, right? And again, anytime you come here, it's easy for you to follow up and say, oh, yeah, we have 100 bags of cement left. Um, Here we have 600 left. Let's make sure we're saying that correctly. Okay, if we say we used 40 here, what happened to the amount? How much was it? So let's make sure. Oh, okay. 700 grand, right? So yeah, so let's come back here and say, look, we've selected this. We used 40, and then what do we have left? It's telling us we have 60 left, right? So again, if we were to just say, in May, we bought 2 by 2, and then we bought 1,500. We bought it for 500 naira each. And for what project? Let's say it's project B, right? And now we bought it for cash, right? Then let's assume in June, we used 2 by 2, right? Used 120 of that for project B. If you go back to purchase, it's telling you have 1,380 left. So that helps you track that, right? Now, so purchases, raw materials, um, this is where that gets tracked. Now, um, one other thing you need to see is your project report, right? So we're gonna go back to the top and then say, look, For each project, I want to be able to see what we got paid, what's the total raw materials we've used, what are the expenses to date, and what is the gain or loss, right? So if you come here and you click on project B, it's typically saying you've not gotten paid for project B. You've used 60,000 and no expenses yet, right? So this just tells you the report, right? So again, we can go back to the expenses and say, what did we spend? Here, we've put in sand and rocks for cost of construction, 12.9 million for project A, right? So for some things that you may not be able to measure, you can put them in expenses, but if it is something you can actually measure for raw materials, it's advisable to just put them in raw materials. Either way, ensure that the project is selected, right? This, for example, does not relate to any project, it's to your business, right? So let's say you paid 80, let's say you paid 90,000 for this, right? And then you just put the right date. So let's call this Jan 1, Feb 5, June 6, and July 3rd, right? So if we were to go to run income statement, you'll see everything in here, right? So we're saying, oh, we got paid for the 5 million in May. We've spent 850,000 on cost of sales, which is the labor. This is the gross profit. In June, we've spent 13.6 million for cost of sales. In July, we got another 30 million for maybe a different project. So this is where the summary of all the results come into play. Okay. Our if you're going to inventory manager as well, this right here only works this way if you're on Windows. On MacBook, I'll show you what you need to do to refresh your inventory manager. But if you hit refresh, right, this is pretty much going to show you the summary of everything you have in your raw materials. So it's project A cement, you bought 100, you use the 40, you have 60 left, and this is the closing inventory amount for the 60 for 20,000. For project Reno VI, same thing, you bought 1,000 blocks, you've used 400, you have 600 left, right? So it shows you for each one. For project B, for 2x2 planks and all of that. Now here, you can pretty much just click on whatever item and you'll be able to see amount bought, quantity. So this represents quantity used, right? As well. So let's call it sold or used, right? And then here, you can see how that changes. So this is where you look at it. Now for MacBook, which is pretty much what you're using, you can just click on this and go to pivot table analyze at the top and click on refresh, right? It gets refreshed. Okay. So that's how to deal with that on the MacBook. So that's a summary of your, also you can pretty much just click on this and if you want, just click on this for everything to show up. I think those are pretty much the major items. Let's see. All the other things, if you're issuing out an invoice, you can do that from here, right? You know, click on whatever the pro project is. Technically, you could want that to um you may want that also to be raw materials. That's a call. I don't know, but again, I just thought to show you that. If you want to run your balance sheet, yeah, your balance sheet will show you all your balances. Typically, here, right? What you have in inventory, the raw materials, your cash in bank, all of that. Then if you have things, for example, that you've prepaid for, like prepayments, let's say you've made uh rental payment, right? Let's say in January, let's say January 4th, you made a payment for 1 year for your rent for your office or wherever, and it's 2.5 million, for example. Um, this, I'll show you what you need to update here. Should pick up, right? You can see 2024 and all of that. So when you go to run your income statement, so assuming you have, assets for your own business, maybe a generator that you run. So you just pretty much click on assets here. And then let's say you have a laptop that you bought for 500 grand and you want it to be depreciated for 5 years. So once you do that, automatically it pops up on your income statement. You can see depreciation and prepaid rent and expenses. So for most of all the other items that are not directly related to your construction and work you do for your clients, you can just watch a short video here to remind you of how to use it. At the end of the day, your project report shows you everything you need per project. Your income statement shows you everything you need to see by business. And I think that's pretty much all you need to know. So one of the things you need to figure out is if you're using the other version, which is for Google Sheets and other, uh, you wouldn't be able to use these buttons, even though the functions will be the same, just that you won't be able to use all those buttons because the coding doesn't work on Google Sheets or phones or tablets, okay? Other than that, as the admin, you can add users here. Uh, you know, give them a username and a password, as many as you want. But please remember that for them to be able to use it perpetually or on the cloud, then you have to be on Microsoft 365 to do that. And this is where you can restrict the access to different people. When you click, once you click no to a page, they don't have access to it. So you are the admin, and that's why you have yes for everything. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Please watch that and try to play around with your um, software file. Let me know if everything goes well. Thanks and cheers. Bye.